Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting here shortly. Brian's going to be putting up the agenda here in just a few minutes. Happy belated Mother's Day to everyone. I'm hoping they enjoyed your family. You enjoyed cooking or the dishes afterwards, or quite possibly they took you out. But wonderful. We'll be starting in just a few. All right. Nothing like the present. So we're going to go ahead and begin. Welcome, everyone. Like I said, happy belated Mother's Day. I'm very pleased that we have a beautiful day across our state at this point, and knowing that not only do we have the fruit trees blooming and the lilacs, which students and teachers may be allergic to, but we also have those beautiful dandelions that are popping up everywhere across our state. But more importantly, if you ever do any walks out into our beautiful state of Montana, the wildflowers are popping. So that's exceptional. We've got a great agenda. We're going to go ahead and start this off with Wendy. Good morning, Wendy. Don't see her on quite yet. We had just left a meeting, so I'm sure she's just going to be joining that. Let's go ahead and rearrange because something else may have happened. Cedar, do I believe we have you on? I know, Marie, I've got you. So Marie, we're going to go ahead and have you start this off while we wait till Wendy gets on, please.
Wonderful. Can I share my screen, please? It's not allowing me right now. Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marie Judish, and I am the new Senior Manager of Teaching and Learning at OPI. And today I get to talk to you about the graduate profile, which I know was just discussed again at the Board of Public Ed meeting last week. So we're really excited about what this can bring to Montana schools and are ready for support. So the graduate profile, it means a learner-centered model based on a shared vision of learner attributes that students should have when they graduate. And now this will be going into ARM. It'll be published in July. And I put the link right here and I will drop that into the chat if anyone wants to drop or to read that. I had it all pasted, but it was much too information to have on the slide without it being like a size 3. So I'll put that right in there. So that will be the home of that information once it's all published. Going on to the next page here, we talk about more of how the graduate profile serves as an anchor for all educational decisions. So we're asking schools to really think about, what do you want your learners to become and be able to do as they go through their education system? So it says graduate, but really it's all K-12 students. It's not just about the ones that walk out the door at the end of their senior year. So all of the decisions means what you're doing for teacher professional development offerings, so your curricular choices, the school improvements, making sure that you tie it back to, is this what we want our students to be able to do? And then also their student experiences. If you want a child that's well-rounded and has global experiences, Are you doing that within your systems and tying that to that, those North Star images? So again, articulating a North Star vision. I think a very important part of this is making sure that it's not too much, because if you think of all the things you want your learners to do, you really got to narrow it down to those real power skills like communication and reasoning, and really have it describe how they're going to get to that. What does it mean for each student to acquire those skills? Maybe not on that initial image. So when I look at this example right here, this one comes out of Michigan. It has just these 4 power skills on the side. So this one, they chose to have communicate and collaborate, argument and reasoning, solve problems, technology and tools. And then they go into more details. And the best thing about graduate profile is that it's not one way to do it. Each school gets to have their own and develop it together. So this is Shelby, Kentucky, another example. And it's clearly describing what it means for a student to acquire each skill and attribute. Some of these may have more, they might have appendices that go with it, but it's really talking about those things that are important to each individual community. When I move on to this example from Fairfax, Virginia, now they only have 2 simple ones here, and they chose to also have it translated because that's important for their community. I know I've seen different ones out of New Zealand and Australia that they have their tribal affiliations or indigenous language built into it because that's a core value for those areas. Now, when we look at the graduate profile, we're really talking about, it's not a one-stop thing. It's something that is developed with many individuals. It should have all your stakeholders included. So at least 4 to 5 individuals should be leading and planning that engagement. So your stakeholders, whether it's your parents, your taxpayers, your teachers should be involved, the administrators, everyone across the board should be a part of this decision, because as a community, we want to know how we want our graduates to leave the school system. So that engagement, like I said here, when should we engage? So we are hoping to have the first draft, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Superintendent. We've kind of pulled back a little bit to make sure that we get this process moving, but have some more steps to support schools getting to this big, wonderful idea. So by next March, we're hoping that every district has a profile in place. And what's exciting about it from our end is how we get to help the field also. So I'll go into that on the last slide. So when we look at this, they don't need to start from scratch. There are many, many that are already built out there. We already have some in the state that have been built in the past and are active right now. And we want, when you look at these characteristics and skills here, we want to ask community members to select the top 3 that they believe, just to start. Like, what do you have this look like? And it can be having them pasted on sticky notes across the whole room and going around and tallying and voting, and they each get 10 points and they get to weight those, and whatever that might be for that community to make sure it's a comprehensive view. So next steps from the OPI level is we are hosting sessions at the Summer Institute with our accreditation team. So they will be there having workshops to sit down with staff and really help them understand the process and make it something that is more of an opportunity for schools to be like, hey, you get a dream here a little bit. What do we want our students, your students, to come out with, and just really help bolster that. And we will be putting together some online professional development throughout the year to support. So as soon as we get all those dates and everything ready, we will be sharing that out.
Thank you, Marie. A lot of information, and I'm sure questions, of course. This is part of the accreditation process. We worked on the accreditation process. It went to the board. It was longer than 18 months in its manner and pathway through, but the graduate profile, as Marie said, is an anchor. Yes, on accreditation, every school, whether you're a K-8 or you're an elementary, middle school, or high school, will be seeking that graduate profile through the district. And I think that's a good thread. And Marie, thank you. You've got a lot of energy, and I think very positively moving this down the line. As she had said, this isn't going to really go into play until March of 24, but a lot of work, I'm sure, is going to be moving this forward. So any questions for Marie? Her presentation will also come out after the education advocate discussion this morning. Marie, thank you so much. We will stay tuned. Thank
Sounds good.
you.
Thank you.
Let's continue on that same thread. Cedar, let's discuss assessment.
Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to give you a quick update on our ACT administration as we closed that window. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So like I said, today I'm going to share with you our assessment update is going to primarily focus on our ACT because that was our most recently closed assessment. So one thing that the assessment team did this year and this testing cycle is we really focused heavily on desktop monitoring at our level to make sure that we were providing support to schools who we saw were in any danger of not completing assessments. And so we were able to not just look at that internally, but post those results externally daily on the Montcast webpage of the OPI website. And so these were the graphics that we would post daily in terms of our ACT completion. These are from May 5th. Our ACT window closed on May 4th. The great thing about ACT moving to the online platform is we were able to see real-time data when it came to that. So as our window closed, we had 8,628 tests that were completed. I'll look a little bit more at that data when we incorporate our paper administrations as well. And some of that data still has to go through some data reconciliation, but we were really pleased with our completion rate and really happy that we were able to monitor that so closely this year. So looking at our numbers, so once again, these are preliminary completion rates. We still have to go through our reconciliation and validation of all of that data. But as of the end of the window, we estimate about that 8,600 online tests were completed, about 1,400 paper tests were processed. And then, so that's about 10,000 total tests that were processed either online or for paper. So like I said, really happy with that completion rate and really happy to be able to monitor that online number as well. Just a few other updates. I know that it was a big move to ask schools to go to that online administration, as any of those big changes are hard, but we were so happy to report that there were no major issues with our online administration for this year. We were able to get that from the field through our assessment help desk. And also the assessment team observed 6 different online administration sites throughout the window. So not just hearing from the field, but going out and seeing it from that field perspective as well. And for our assessment specialists and for myself, it was really beneficial to see the smooth online administration. Like I said, we had really positive feedback from test administrators, from school staff, and from students as well. And so we've had quite a few students tell us that they like the administration. I mean, most of their testing up to this point has been using computer in an online format. And so that was a really well-received transition. And so we're looking forward to that in the future. And that is what I have for you in regards to our ACT completion and testing window.
Thank you, Cedar. One of the things, if you just get onto our website and you type in assessments across the top, it'll come to the landing page. You'll see in red at the very top right then, the daily annotations of where our students are in the testing ability. And Cedar, great shout out to the team, not in monitoring, but in help and in support in making sure that we achieve the 95 percentile of participation that the federal government demands on our summative tests. So great job, Cedar. Any questions for Cedar?
Superintendent, I can screen share and I can also show you what that website looks like. I have it pulled up.
Fantastic. Please do.
So this is our assessment landing page that we have. And then if you click on this current completion rates for state assessments, you can see the completion rates at the statewide level and then also at the district level as well. So the data we have posted right now is we have our Smarter Balance assessment and the 3 components of those, and then our Montana Science assessment. So we're in our last 2 weeks of those assessments. And then there's that ACT graphic I showed you. So these are updated daily. And then, like I said, we use that for outreach for our schools as well to help if we see a district is struggling to complete, we get to use some direct outreach for that as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Cedar. And just a note that I know on the agenda, we're not necessarily talking about MAST, but the MAST is that alternative assessment that we're very pleased that the federal government is allowing innovation. And if I can remember from Secretary Cardona, specifically, those are his words. Let's think outside that school box. Let's do a little bit different to understand and represent learning and success of learning and teaching together in the same model. We have completed our 4 testlets this year. Very excited that it went very successful. Not only are we testing this new model of 4 testlets closest to a state standard, but we're also testing the test bank of questions as well. So this will be a Montana test that will lead to the success. The biggest thing that we're doing with this is supporting our teachers, making sure that our teachers are being recognized for this great work. This year, yes, they have had to double test. The students have had to take the summative test as well as they've had to take the innovative 4 testlet model throughout. Next year, though, we are really in full swing of making sure that the federal government has recognized our request of a waiver to say that that double testing won't happen. So we are now seeking districts to be able to participate this coming year. Instead of 5th and 7th math and reading, we are looking at 3rd grade all the way through 8th grade in math and reading. So we're accelerating and we're looking forward to a discussion, making sure that that summative test is removed as an incentive of this new pilot. So thank you very much for all the discussion on the ACT, Marie, on the graduate profile. And let's move on to Wendy. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning. So this is Wendy with Office of Public Instruction in the ESSER side of things. So this morning, I wanted to introduce to you Rebecca Brown, who is our program manager, and she's been with us now we're coming up on a year pretty soon. So I wanted to introduce her to you, and she's going to help me this morning in walking through some information that's available on our website. And I wanted to take the opportunity not just to mention those things, but to actually show them to you, because you can use them. They're updated all the time, and they are very useful in terms of looking at what are different regional or district level spending of ESSER, which of course then moves and morphs into anything that the schools are doing these days. So it kind of tags into a lot of the things we've already been talking about. So the first thing we're going to take a look at are the monthly spending side, and that just shows you a report of all of the district spending, and it'll identify each district, and you can go in and say, okay, so what is going on with Alberton's, how much money did they get with ESSER 1, 2, and 3, and where are they spending their money right now, and where does that leave them at the end? What is left? So you can look at each district that way and identify what those buckets are. And then if we hop over to a higher level and we say, how are the districts planning to use those funds in a futuristic as they've got remaining funds? And we can look at the plan compliances. When you look at the district plans, you'll see a chart like this. And again, this is on our website. You can just search the file for any district you're looking for and go into their spending plan. The safe return is how would you return after a pandemic, but also the ARP plan tells you how what are their priorities for spending 1, 2, and 3. Are they looking at math as a main priority? Are they looking at social emotional? So you can look at each one of those different areas. And then next, another area to look at would be the guidance sessions. So there's a whole section that we have on our website that has a number of different, how do I process, how do I look at these funds, and their webinars, their PDF files, their slide decks. The slide decks are great because you can pull up one section and just look at how to use that. And then lastly, I wanted to showcase to you, we have a spot on our ESSER website that would identify any upcoming grants. So we do have one right now for summer enrichment. And if you select that tab, it will show you all the things that are related to this grant. So what are they in terms of the requirements? If I'm a district or I'm a nonprofit, how do I participate in this grant? When are the deadlines? And it demonstrates on that tab what those requirements are. Lastly, I wanted to identify the fact that while we just finished the data collection for the ESSER side of things, we will be hopping into the data collection for the EAN side of things. So that's the non-public side of federal funding on the COVID funding that came to us. And we're going to be doing in July and through beginning of August, a shout out to groups who have participated in that EANS funding and asking them to participate in how have these funds been useful? What have you used with that? So we're going to be sending out an announcement to all of those participants and asking them to participate in sharing the use of those funds, just as we have with the ESSER. We'll make those available for people to review as well. So are there any questions?
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Rebecca. A great ESSER team. Just to remember that these, how do I want to say, these federal funds are used for investment for our students. And as Wendy had shared about with the EANS, the non-public, all of our families across our state were affected by COVID and the pandemic, and a great recognition. Steve White, I'm glad you're on. I don't think you've ever missed one of our education advocates, and I'm grateful that you are here and listening. We'll be reaching out to you because of your non-public relationships to make sure that we bring everyone in as we do that data collection.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. And it's, as you started out, it is one heck of a beautiful day in Bozeman, Montana.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. Any other further questions dealing with ESSER? Wonderful. Let's go ahead. Time is precious. Let's go ahead and talk about accreditation process. Crystal, good morning.
Good morning, Superintendent. Hello, everyone. If I could share my screen, thank you. Okay, so we are talking about the 2023-24 accreditation processing schedule. The Board of Public Ed did approve our schedule and process as of last Friday at their meeting. So I'm going to walk you through what that will look like for this school year coming up, 23-24. And you can see my screen all right, correct? Okay, thank you. So all schools will be accredited in the school year 23-24. Then after that, and this I should mention, based on new rule, as Marie alluded to, we are starting with the new rules for accreditation July 1 of this year, which includes the graduate profile. And then after this coming year, we will go into an accreditation cycle. From there, our data program changes. This is a key point of change for our accreditation process, where the annual data collection information will be moving to Infinite Campus. And actually, I think it's already in that process. And then we will be able to pull the data into our new accreditation system. So what this means is that in the past, the accreditation system teams, as we know it, pulled all of our information for areas that do not even belong to accreditation. So we really took the time to separate out what lives in the accreditation world and what doesn't. And it's separated now. And so that Infinite Campus and our AIM team will head up that data annual collection, and that'll stay the same. The dates will remain the same. However, the accreditation piece will be moving to the spring, and I'll get to that. So, as I said, the annual data collection will still take place in the fall. Schools will be still required to do that report and report that information annually. The change is that the accreditation will be able to pull the data, but at a different time. So we're changing the accreditation due date to the spring, and we are no longer in charge of that annual data collection. And the reason for moving it to the spring is for a few reasons. Number one, we have heard from stakeholders as we held stakeholder sessions. Having that fall deadline, this is tough. A lot of our accreditation deviations, we're seeing misassigned teachers. A lot of those teachers are graduating in December, and so they're misassigned, although then they are licensed, but after the deadline, so that will help with that. And also just to have that year to collect the information for our new accreditation process. So what was approved is looking at our assurance standards, as we have done in the past, our performance standards to give the overall category. And good example of how that changes is that right now for our student performance measures, we're currently measuring, as you know, just our statewide assessment, SBAC, for English and math in grades 3 through 8 and 11, and the graduation rate for our high schoolers. What we're looking to use is, in our new measure, is looking at growth, not just proficiency. We're going to look at graduation rates still, college and career readiness, learning environments, and opportunity gaps. So this gives districts and schools more opportunity to show their strengths in areas. From there, this is year one, and this is probably the most important slide for people to take away from. So we're calling year one in our new accreditation process our coach and guide year. This means we're focusing on support mechanisms and methodology. So as you can see, there are 3 different areas that we'll be looking at in accreditation. First is the ISAP. ISAP is new, that is the Integrated Strategic Action Plan, replacing the CSIP. And for this first year, and I will emphasize the first year that we are implementing, we're going to be looking at just a few components. This is not the full picture. This is just part of it. And so as we had our stakeholder meetings and looking at all of the new information, we really heard, whoa, don't rush, slow down. Let's just do it, do this the right way, take our time and make sure that it's meaningful. And so we listened to that, and we've really, even up until last week, have been adjusting and adapting to, what makes the most sense. Of course, superintendent, with your approval. So what we're looking at first is that the first year we'll be doing the CNA, Comprehensive Needs Assessment, with the gap analysis to set goals, which is already being done. This is not a new component. We'll be looking at a family community engagement plan. And then as Marie talked about the graduate profile, this is our year one. We'll be showing our plan to show progress. In no way are we expecting districts to have a graduate profile done this first year. It is a lot of, if we want it to be meaningful and really effective, it will take time. So what we're looking for this first year are action steps as to what has been done. So this could be, the stakeholders that are involved, what they've done. I love how Marie said, putting sticky notes and figuring out what's best and what's most important for the district, just that progress. We're not looking for a complete model. We're not looking for it to be done in any kind of way, but just a way for our districts to show us this is what we're working on. They're going to be attending, hopefully, some training by my team, and Summer Institute will be there to show, and it's just really setting the stage and showing that progress. That is all that will be required for year one. For the assurance standards, this is nothing that's new. However, we are using a new rubric system instead of the old system. We're working on the guidance documents for that, so that'll all be present and laid out nicely for everyone to see. And I'd be happy to share once those are done. And then for student performance standards, yes, we're still looking at our proficiency, and we can use the SBAC, but also growth. And so this is the opportunity where we've really heard from districts that they like, that they can show growth in whatever that they're using. We're not asking them to start something new or to recreate anything. So if they have, and these are just examples, we're not trying to promote any one test, but just things that districts are already using. It could be a teacher-made test, or whatever they're using to monitor progress. They can use those tests to show growth in their students. And so then our next step, as I said, we will be at Summer Institute working on the ISAP, specifically the graduate profile. New rules start July 1, and those will be where Marie shared but also on our webpage. And then just a key date, spring 24, a date's not set. We're looking at that, but our accreditation report, including those small, those beginning pieces of the ISAP, will be due. My team will be very busy starting yesterday with our guidance documents and resources. We'll be holding office hours. So if districts want to touch base and say, hey, this is something that we're looking at, or this is a component, what do you think, just to run ideas? Again, there's no one way of doing the graduate profile. This is up to the district, but we're always here to help and provide feedback. And we will have posted tutorials and scheduled learning sessions. We're actually in the process of making a website specific just for this new accreditation process. So a lot of information and resources will live there. And that is what I have for you today, Superintendent, if there are any questions.
Thank you, Crystal, and thank you for the team that has put and worked at this. And I'm also very grateful to the Board of Public Ed. I see that we have a representative here. McCall, thank you for guiding and leadership with this. Last Friday, they voted unanimously for the process of where we are going to be with recognized quality schools in Montana. So we're very, very grateful that the hard work of the team was recognized and the unanimous vote was just a seal the deal. So really appreciate this. Of course, all this slides and everything will be coming forward, and they are going to be recognized on our website for anyone who wasn't in attendance today. Any questions or comments regarding Crystal's presentation on accreditation or anything that we discussed this morning? Well, thank you all. Enjoy this beautiful day across our state. We are blessed to live in Montana. Thank you all.